As-salaam wa-alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Year 3 of the 17 Verses podcast. I'm your host, Maher Haq. In this podcast, we take a small selection from the Quran every day and recite it to you in plain English, so you can get a small slice of God's Word while you go about your day. By averaging 17 verses per day, we're able to break the Quran down into manageable pieces and finish it in 1 year. If you enjoyed the podcast, please help spread the word. Tell your friends and family, subscribe in iTunes or Stitcher, and write us a review. Today's selection is from Surah 37, As-Sãffãt, or Those Ranged in Ranks, verses 114 through 138. These verses talk of the favors bestowed upon prophets Moses, Aaron, Elias and Lot. Tafseer for this selection further explains the story of Prophet Elias. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. We bestowed our favor on Moses and Aaron. We delivered them with all their people from the mighty distress. We helped them so they became victorious. We gave them the glorious book, or the Torah, and guided them both to the right way. We left their good names among the later generations. Salutations to Moses and Aaron. Thus do we reward the righteous. Surely they were two of our believing devotees. Elias was surely one of our messengers. Behold, he said to his people, have you no fear of Allah? Would you invoke Baal and forsake the best of the creators, Allah, who is your Lord and the Lord of your forefathers? But they denied him, so they will certainly be called to account, with the exception of sincere devotees of Allah. We left his good name among the later generations. Salutations to Elias. Thus do we reward the righteous. He was surely one of our believing devotees. Lot was one of our messengers. Behold, we delivered him and his whole family except an old woman who was among those who remained behind, and we destroyed the others. Surely you pass by their ruins day and night. Will you not use your common sense? Ameen. Now concerning the mission of Prophet Elias, quote, Elias is the same as Elijah, whose story is found in the Old Testament in 1 Kings chapter 27 through 29 and 2 Kings chapters 1 and 2. Elijah lived in the time of Ahab, between BC 896 and 874, and Ahaziah between BC 874 to 872, who were both kings of the northern kingdom of Israel or Samaria. He was a prophet of the desert like John the Baptist, unlike our holy prophet who took part in, controlled, and guided all the affairs of his people. Both Ahab and Ahaziah were prone to lapse into worship of Baal, the sun god worshipped in Syria. That worship also included the worship of nature powers and procreative powers, as in the Hindu worship of the lingam, and led to many abuses. King Ahab had married a princess of Sidon, named Jezebel, a wicked woman who led her husband to forsake God and adopt Baal worship. Elijah denounced all Ahab's sins as well as the sins of Ahaziah and had to flee for his life. Eventually, according to the Old Testament, in 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 11, he was taken up in a whirlwind to heaven in a chariot of fire after he had left his mantle with Elisha the prophet. Unquote. Thank you. This concludes today's episode of the 17 Verses podcast. I hope that this selection helps increase your understanding of the Holy Quran just a little bit. If you like the podcast, you can subscribe in iTunes or Stitcher and write us a review. Or you can grab the RSS feed and put it into your own podcast app. The show notes, including a text version of this episode, can be found by going to 17verses.com. That's the numbers 17, VERSES.com. Thank you, and be well.